This video is going to take us through how to complete the sneaker once you've done all of your shapes. So I'm going to first go to Window and Workspace inside of Adobe Illustrator. Reset Essentials Classic, so I have all my tools back where they were. Now, this, if I open up my layers, you'll be able to see here that the original looked like this. And then on top, we created a brand new layer right here where it says Layer 1. And now what I'm going to do is take away the bottom layer just by hiding it. All right, just so we don't see it for the moment. So this, as an example, is a sneaker that is now complete on layer 1. All the shapes have been created and colored. When you're at this stage, we have to be sure that the first thing that you take care of is stitching. So if I zoom in real close, you can see this line here looks like some stitching. In order to do your stitching, you're going to take your pen tool, go up to the top, no fill, black stroke. About a 0.5 stroke will be fine. You can give it any color you want. I'm choosing black right now, but choose whatever you'd like. Draw the line where you'd like. So for example, if I want to do it right here, I would click once, come all the way to here, and click again. Now I can click and pull to bend the line if I want, and then I let go. Now I'm going to hold Command and click away. You'll notice that the line is already dashed, right? So it looks like stitching. When you first do it on your computer, it might not look like that. Take the black arrow, click on it. Typically, it's going to look like, and I'm going to open up, you see 3 little lines right here on the side on my toolbar, on my panels, I mean. When I click that and open up stroke, here, if I go to the options and show options, you are now going to see the dashed line. So originally, it might look like this, where it's just a straight black line. If you click on the line with the black arrow, you could then go over to your stroke, show options, right? So like this, show options, go to where it says dash line. And then right now, I picked here, 3 for the dash, 3 for the gap, 3 for the dash, and you see what it's doing. If you change these numbers, it will change the way that the dash line looks, okay? But that's the way you can create your stitching on your sneaker. So that's number 1. That's part 1, right? So part 1 is stitching. So let's just write that over here so we know, right? So we say part 1 is stitching. All right. Now, part 2. Part 2 is going to be textures or patterns. So how do you do textures or patterns? We're going to use one of these pieces of the sneaker. In fact, I'll use this piece up here, this top purple piece. And what you do is you first take the black arrow, you click on the piece, hold Option on your keyboard, or if you have one of the black keyboards, it will be the Alt key, and you're going to click and drag to copy the piece. I'm going to then zoom in so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, so I have a copy of that piece right there. The next step that you're going to do is you're going to go over to your panels, go to your swatches, open up your swatches, scroll down, and you'll see that there are some patterns that are installed here. But if you go to the top corner where the 3 lines are, little hamburger looking thing, you can go to Open Swatch Libraries, and there is one that's called Patterns. And inside there's 3 categories: basic, decorative, and nature. Inside each one of those, there's a few other categories. So for example, if I go to textures, you'll see that this new box now has opened up, this one here. If it comes up really small, just go to the corner and go to large thumbnail so you can see them a little bigger. And now if I click any of these, you'll see that it now fills this shape with that pattern, whichever pattern that I pick, right? Okay, so interesting, I have this pattern now. Now if I take it and drag that shape back on top of the original shape that I copied, now I have the best of both worlds. I have the pattern, right, though, that texture looking piece, and you have the purple that's underneath it. Now if you want to bring in your own from online, that's not a problem either, so I'll do that as an example with this blue piece. I'm going to click on the blue piece with the black arrow. I'm going to hold Option again, or Alt on the black keyboard, and copy that piece. This time what I'm going to do is I'm going to go online, I'm going to open up a brand new tab, and on that new tab I'm going to type in like you can use a texture, or again, this is another way to grab a pattern but online. So if you want it to be leather, I could do, for example, leather, or I can even do white leather. I can be really specific if I want to, right? And I'm going to find this leather pattern. Once I find the leather pattern, I'm going to click it. Make sure you find one that doesn't have a stamp on it. So this one looks pretty good. I'm going to drag this one from the internet right onto Adobe Illustrator and drop it. And then once I have it in here, you'll notice that it's actually really, really big. It's this huge piece right here. I just zoomed out so you could see it. I'm going to hold Shift, resize that piece, and then what you can do is you can actually take this piece and drag it and drop it into your swatches. So I'm going to drag it from here and drag it into my swatches and let go. So it becomes a swatch. It gets added to my swatches. So I'm going to go back over to this piece, click on it with the black arrow, the one that I copied here, right? And then I'm going to hit that little swatch. And you see it's given me that pattern now. Now, if I take this and put it back over on top of the blue that I copied it from like this, okay, that's fine, except I can't see the blue anymore. So what could I do? Well, I could right-click on this piece, click on it first, sorry, right-click, arrange, send to back. When I send it to the back, now I see the blue one, right? Well, if I click away and click on the blue one this time, I'm able to go over to, it looks like 2 circles here. You can see I'm circling it on my panels. It's called transparency. If I click on transparency, pull that out, I could now mess with the opacity or the blending modes. Right now it's set at normal. If I were to change that to, let's say, multiply or overlay, you see now you get kind of the best of both, right? You get a little bit of this and a little bit of what's underneath it. The other option would be I could have just looked up a blue leather pattern right off the bat and use that instead. So you could do that. You can do it from the ones that are listed already inside your swatches over here, here, and here like we talked about, or you can go online and find your own. The third thing we want to talk about is highlights and shadows, right? Kind of like making things look plasticky, putting a shine on things. So we'll call it part 3, shine. Oops. Part 3, shine. So what do I mean by shine? You can go to any part of your sneaker, click on the piece of the sneaker, and then go up to the top, go to the word effect at the top. There are a whole category of Illustrator effects, and then there are Photoshop effects. We want to try to use the Illustrator effects now, and the one that I find that works well for this particular project is the one that says stylize, and then down to inner glow. And if you click inner glow, a new box pops up, and I'll zoom in so we can see a little bit better here. It won't let me, but hopefully you can see it down here at the bottom. As I increase the blur, you see that the blur of the sneaker in that area kind of starts to increase, right? Now I could change, right now it's white, but I could change that color to anything, right? And I could change the mode. And you could also put it on the center, so it comes from the inside out. So for example here, if you wanted your sneaker to look a little bit gray, let's say, it could look like this, right? You could change the opacity, you could change the modes. There's like a million possibilities of things that you can do just by using that one effect, which was called inner glow. Stylize and inner glow. All right, and part 4. Part 4 is gradients. Okay, so how do you use a gradient? We're going to take another part of the sneaker. We'll take this big piece in the middle. What I want to do first is I want to go to my swatches and select one of these basic gradients that's set up here. Now once I click that gradient, it gives me this yellow to orange gradient, but we don't have to stick with that. What we can do is we can go to the gradient tool on our toolbar, which is right here, click that, and when I do that you'll see a line. Now you can control these by pulling them. You can double click them and change their color. You can pull down and delete the color so it disappears, and you could also click and drag in the direction that you want to go. So if you want it to go this way or you want it to go this way, totally up to you. Also, while you're there, there's one other tool at the very top of my screen that I really like. It's called the freeform gradient, and if you click it, it's going to turn it gray for a moment, kind of black and white and gray, but you'll see these little dots. You can actually move these dots and decide where the color goes. You can increase the size of the dot, and you can click on the gradient to create more of these dots. For each one of these dots, you can double click the center of it and change its color. So if you want to have, let's say this one was going to be yellow and this one was going to be purple, and let's get rid of, you can also hit delete on one if you don't like it. So I'll make this one purple actually. And then you can move them. So if you wanted this to be, you know, purple at the bottom and green over here and a little bit more like that. So you can really control exactly where the gradient's going to lie on your sneaker. And then remember, you want to add something to it, you take it, you copy it, you add a pattern. You put that pattern on top. Put it right back over the top of it. Maybe change the blending mode, see through it. Now you have leather plus the color at the same time. So we have now covered stitching, textures or patterns, shines, and gradients. The last and final piece of putting this all together is once you are completely done and you've shown it to me, you are now going to create a sneaker board. In order to do that, you're going to take your rectangle tool. You're going to create a rectangle that's the size or a little bit larger than the artboard. Color it whatever color you'd like. I'm going to make this one gray. Right click, arrange it, send it to the back. Okay, great. Then you're going to want to take your text tool and you're going to want to name your sneaker. So you're going to want to, decide on a size, a font style at the top here. Choose whatever style you would like. Name it whatever you'd like these are the Jefferson 5s or something. I don't know. And then take it, move it, resize it. All you got to do is take the black arrow to it, click on it, and you can move it and resize it and rotate it and all that good stuff, okay? So you got that. Then anything that made you think or about the shoe or gave you inspiration for the shoe, you can grab from online and throw in there. Any leather pieces, like you want to show that you use this particular leather because you want to show the grainy pattern. So put that there. Put anything people might want to see that shows them how you got your inspiration for your shoe. And last but not least, go online. Look up sneaker anatomy. We have one of these on Google Classroom that you could check out. Go to one of these. You'll see that it points out all the different pieces of the sneaker, right? Not every sneaker has every part of these, but yours has most of them. So for example, the vamp is this front kind of meshy toe piece, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to point out things on the shoe as well. So I'm going to click away with the black arrow. I'm going to take this line tool, line segment tool. We're going to make sure it has no fill. Make sure it has whatever color stroke you want. In this case, if you want to use red or black or yellow or whatever you want, I'm going to choose mine and make it, I'll make it red, I guess. And you can make it maybe like a 2-point stroke would be fine. And you click and you drag onto the part of the shoe. So you see that right there, I just clicked and kind of dragged onto the part of the shoe. Now I could do that for all the parts of the shoe. Like I can go here for the sole. I can go, here for the laces. I can go one to go to here for the eye stay. I can go one to here for the eyelets, little things. The tongue. The collar. Look back at the picture so you know what's what. Like this is the collar lining. So for yours, this is could be the collar lining, right? So you point out all of those things on the shoe. They could be straight lines, by the way. They don't have to be bent. They could be straight like that if you'd like. Then what I'd like to do is select all of them. In order to do that, just click one of them. Go to select, same stroke color. They all get selected. And then there is the option on the stroke. Where did I put the strokes from before? If you don't see them, oh, here they are. Over here on the side. There's an option here where you can put arrowheads at the beginning or at the end of the line. So I can go to the end and choose any of these arrowheads or circles or anything, click it, and now it has these little circles at the bottom, right? So you know where I'm pointing to. You can see it a little clearer. Now what you want to do is you want to take the text tool then, and you want to click and kind of type in what the part of the shoe is. So if you want to say, this is black plastic, and what do we call that? That's the vamp, because we looked at what it said on that diagram of the sneaker anatomy that we kind of looked at, right? So you'd put that there, and you'd list that as part of the shoe, right? So a completed one of this looks like this, or it's completely done. It looks like this, right? Inspiration, name, and we point out what the parts of the shoe are so that everybody kind of has an idea, and we give it a name at the top. That is the finished sneaker. Any questions, please see me.